going. But then it happens. A few days, sometimes just a few hours, and that initial spark of motivation just fizzles. And with the sheer volume of self-improvement advice out there, it can feel overwhelming just trying to figure out where to even begin, let alone how to actually stick with something. So today, our mission is to cut through all that noise. We're taking a deep dive into James Clear's absolute bestseller, Atomic Habits. We're going to distill its most powerful insights and practical applications specifically tailored for you, our listener, as a student. Think of this as your personal cheat sheet to understanding how those seemingly tiny, often overlooked changes can truly lead to monumental results.
It's remarkable how Clear boils it down to such a simple, yet profoundly powerful idea. That tiny, consistent daily actions don't just add up. They compound into major change over time. He puts it so well, saying, habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. And this isn't just a clever phrase. It's a fundamental shift in perspective. It pushes you to move away from obsessing over those big, daunting goals.
Right, the goals themselves.
Exactly. And instead focus on building the consistent, everyday systems that actually get you there. As he famously states, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That's where the real magic happens.
Okay, let's unpack that because it really is the foundation. Clear's entire framework revolves around something he calls the 4 laws of behavior change. And it all begins with understanding the underlying habit loop: cue, craving, response, and finally, reward. It's like you smell fresh coffee, that's the cue. You start to want that energy boost, the craving. You brew a cup, the response, and then you feel energized, the reward. That simple cycle drives so much of what we do.
Exactly. And Clear brilliantly derives his 4 laws for building good habits directly from this very loop. To make a habit stick, you need to have you. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying.
Okay.
So imagine you're trying to build a consistent reading habit for your classes. You'd make it obvious by placing the textbook or even your flashcards right on your desk, maybe open to the page you left off, so you literally can't miss it when you sit down.
It's hard to ignore.
Right. Then, to make it satisfying, you might allow yourself, say, a few minutes of your favorite study music or a quick stretch break after completing each chapter. And, conversely, for breaking bad habits, he provides the inverse. Make them invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. This systematic approach really helps you control those triggers and rewards, makes it easier to automate the behaviors you actually want.
That distinction between good and bad habits is so practical. And building on those laws, another powerful technique from the book is habit stacking. The core idea here is deceptively simple. Linking a new habit to an existing one you already do automatically every single day.
Yeah, what's compelling about habit stacking is how it cleverly leverages your brain's existing cues. The paths already built. Clear gives brilliant examples like, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write for 5 minutes. Simple. Or after I close my laptop for the day, I will do 10 push-ups. Because your old habits are so deeply ingrained, attaching a new action immediately before or after them makes the new habit much more likely to stick.
So each habit triggers the next one.
Precisely.
Yeah.
It creates this seamless chain. For you as a student, this could mean stacking a study session right after a stable daily event, like after I finish my lunch, I will review my chemistry notes for 15 minutes.
It really makes you look at your daily routines through a completely different lens, doesn't it? And Clear broadens this discussion even further with his emphasis on systems, identity, and small improvements. He's not just talking about quick fixes here, is he?
No, not at all. And this brings up a crucial point. Are you focusing solely on the outcome? Or are you truly building a process, a system? Clear passionately urges us to improve by just 1% each day. Just 1%.
Which sounds tiny.
It sounds tiny. But here's the counterintuitive power of it. If you do that consistently over a year, it doesn't just add up linearly. You actually end up nearly 37 times better by year end.
Wow, 37 times.
That's the magic of compounding. For a student, that could literally mean adding just 1 page of reading or 1 extra practice problem per day. It seems tiny, but the momentum builds in an almost unbelievable way. And crucially, he emphasizes what he calls identity-based habits.
Okay, identity-based. What does that mean exactly?
It's about envisioning who you want to become. For example, a diligent student or an organized person, and then understanding that each small habit you perform is effectively voting for that person. When you act like a diligent student, you're not just completing a task, you're reinforcing your very self-concept. It makes the habit feel meaningful, part of who you are, not like some chore.
That idea of voting for who you want to become is incredibly motivating. I like that. So let's bring all these concepts home now and focus on the practical application for you, the listener, as a student, starting with academic success and study habits.
Absolutely. You can absolutely use clear strategies to build effective study routines. First, make your study goals obvious. Keep your textbooks or flashcards in plain view on your desk. And crucially, get rid of distractions. Put your phone in another room, maybe.
That's a big one for students.
Definitely. Then, apply habit stacking directly to your academics. After I finish my morning coffee, I will review yesterday's lecture notes for 10 minutes. The 1% rule is also huge in academics. Just 10 minutes of dedicated math practice daily can vastly improve your skills over weeks, far more than, cramming the night before.
Right, avoid the cramming cycle.
Exactly. Remember, it's about consistently improving your system, your weekly study plan, your daily review, rather than just obsessing over a final grade. The system will get you the grade.
And these principles aren't just for academic studying, right? They're incredibly powerful for general time management and productivity for students too, beyond the books.
Oh, for sure. If we connect this to the bigger picture of your daily life, Clear's emphasis on systems over goals directly helps with scheduling. Create a fixed routine, a study system, like a specific time and place for homework each day, and then commit to improving it gradually. Little tweaks.
Using the 4 laws?
Yes. Apply the 4 laws. Make tasks attractive, maybe study difficult subjects with friends, make them easy, break them into tiny steps, perhaps just 5 minutes to start a daunting assignment. Just start.
Just get the ball rolling.
Exactly. And make them satisfying. Track your progress. Check off a box when you're done. Use a habit tracker app. That little dopamine hit helps. Clear also talks about if-then plans, such as, if it is 7 p.m., then I will study for 30 minutes. He shows this dramatically increases follow-through. These habits help you use your time more effectively without just relying on sheer willpower, which we know is finite.
Makes sense. Now, beyond academics, how can these principles be applied to a student's broader health and overall well-being? Because that often gets neglected in the student rush.
Yeah, it really does. And it's all about environment design for healthy choices. Want to work out more? Leave your gym clothes by the door. Can't miss them.
Make it obvious.
Precisely. Or place a water bottle and some fruit on your desk to encourage healthy behaviors. Conversely, hide the bad cues. Stash the video games or junk food out of sight. Make unhealthy behaviors harder.
Make it difficult.
Yeah. Right. Then there's temptation bundling, which is incredibly clever.
Temptation bundling. Tell me more.
It's combining something you want to do with something you need to do. For example, you only listen to your favorite podcast while you're on a run, or you only allow yourself to watch that Netflix show after finishing a study session.
Ah, linking the reward directly.
Exactly. These tricks make balancing fun and responsibility so much easier. And ultimately, tiny daily habits, like a short walk during a study break or sticking to a regular sleep time, can significantly improve your energy levels and reduce stress in the long run. It all adds up.
You know, we've talked a lot about how to apply these principles, but for me, a huge part of this book's appeal is just how effortlessly clear makes everything. Pun intended, I guess. Would you agree that its accessible style is a big reason for its popularity?
Absolutely. I think that's a huge factor. Clear writes in such plain language, filled with relatable, real-life examples and everyday analogies. The British cycling team story, for instance, it perfectly illustrates the compounding gains principle without getting bogged down in jargon.
Yeah, that was a great example.
It makes even complex ideas from neuroscience incredibly engaging and easy to grasp. And the short, well-organized chapters also help you absorb concepts in bite-sized pieces, which is perfect for a student juggling multiple demands.
And it's not just easy to read, it presents such a logical, almost methodical framework. How does that logical structure contribute to its strength, especially for someone trying to build new habits?
Well, a key insight here is how the 4 laws framework provides a step-by-step roadmap for change. It's very practical. Many readers point to this structure as a key strength because it's not just vague advice like, be more consistent.
Right, it tells you how.
Exactly. It shows you precisely how to implement a habit, breaking it down into actionable steps. Obvious, attractive, easy, satisfying. By framing habits as systems you can design, the book helps you plan and measure your progress effectively, rather than just, guessing what to do next. It gives you a practical blueprint.
And speaking of practical, the book is just packed with practical, motivating advice. But I'm curious, does that advice ever feel too simple for the deep-seated struggles people have with consistency? How does Clear balance that?
That's a fair question.
Mm-hmm.
It really is packed with actionable tactics, making cues obvious, using habit stacking, things you can try immediately, and his tone is incredibly encouraging and self-compassionate, which I think is key.
That's important.
Very. He focuses on celebrating small wins rather than scolding failures. For example, his advice to never miss twice, meaning one slip-up doesn't have to derail your entire habit.
Just get back on track the next day.
Exactly. This positive attitude and the idea that any minor progress counts makes the advice feel genuinely attainable, even for a busy student. It acknowledges the human tendency to slip without letting it become an excuse to quit.
It's good to know it's not just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. There's some nuance there. Beyond the motivational aspects, how does the book stand up in terms of its insights being evidence-based? Does he back up his claims with, like, actual science?
Oh, absolutely, he does.
Yeah.
Clear supports his ideas with a wealth of scientific research from psychology and neuroscience alongside compelling real-world cases. And that adds a lot of credibility to his arguments.
Can you give an example?
Sure. For instance, the concept that our brains literally prune unused neural connections and strengthen used ones, which is basically the neurological basis for habit formation and why habit stacking works, that comes directly from brain science. Knowing these strategies are research-informed, not just anecdotal, can be very reassuring and impactful for readers.
Okay, now, every powerful framework has its nuances or limitations. Let's pivot a bit to some of the maybe common criticisms leveled against Atomic Habits. One point often raised is its potential oversimplification of complex behavioral issues. Does it sometimes gloss over the really tough stuff?
That's a fair point to consider, definitely. While the four-step model is intuitive and incredibly helpful for many things, critics do argue it can indeed gloss over some real-world complexities. Habit change can be deeply influenced by many factors like chronic stress, underlying mental health challenges, or even deeply ingrained social environments. Things that a simple cue response loop doesn't fully capture.
Right, it's not always just about willpower or cues.
Exactly. For example, more serious challenges like addiction or clinical depression often require professional help that goes way beyond just tweaking habits with these four laws. So while it offers a strong framework for many situations, it's probably not a complete solution for every behavior problem under the sun.
And it might not fully account for individual differences either, right? I can imagine a student with, say, ADHD might find some of the make it obvious or make it easy advice a real challenge to maintain consistently.
You've hit on a significant point there. The book tends to assume a certain level of personal control and consistency that, frankly, not everyone has all the time. It can potentially downplay factors like big motivation swings or external circumstances that are unique to individuals.
Life happens.
Life happens. A strategy that works perfectly for one student might not fit another. For instance, as you said, a student with ADHD or maybe severe anxiety might need more specialized support than just a better routine can provide on its own. Some readers do find the advice a bit generic sometimes, requiring substantial adaptation because it's certainly not a one-size-fits-all solution for everyone. You have to tailor it.
Some critics have also said that the advice in the book can sometimes sound too easy. It makes it seem like all you need to do is put your running shoes by the door and poof, you're suddenly a marathoner.
Yeah, I've heard that too. A few reviewers argue that Clear's generally positive and straightforward tone can make habit change seem simpler than it truly is in practice. It can almost minimize the inherent struggle involved.
The frustration.
Exactly. The book rarely dwells on repeated failures or the deep frustration that often comes with trying to change long-standing behaviors. One critic even noted it was surprisingly devoid of personal experience with struggle, which might be a bit harsh, but it touches on a point. In reality, building or breaking habits often involves significant frustration and setbacks, which the book, while acknowledging persistence is needed, treats rather briefly. It can sometimes underestimate the sheer grit required to maintain motivation over long periods.
And finally, related to that perhaps, there's the criticism regarding its strong emphasis on personal responsibility. While it's good to feel empowered, what about students who are juggling part-time jobs, family responsibilities, or maybe financial pressures? Making it easy isn't always an option for everyone, is it?
That's a crucial consideration, absolutely. By focusing so heavily on individual choices and environment shaping, the book can sometimes overlook systemic issues or external pressures that are largely beyond a person's immediate control. Think about a student working multiple part-time jobs. They might struggle to follow routines simply due to extreme time constraints or sheer exhaustion.
Their environment isn't easily changed.
Exactly. Solutions like make it easy or stack it can be genuinely hard to apply in such demanding situations. Critics point out that it assumes a certain freedom to change one's environment and schedule that isn't universally available. So it's vital to remember that Atomic Habits is most effective when you combine its strategies with a realistic, self-compassionate assessment of your own unique situation and any limitations you might face.
Okay, so bringing it all together after this deep dive, what are the essential, most practical takeaways, specifically for you, the listener, as a student from Atomic Habits? What should they really hold on to?
Right, let's boil it down. First, start with tiny habits. Really tiny. Focus on just getting 1% better each day. That means pledging to study just one additional page or do one extra algebra problem. Those small gains compound powerfully over time. Don't underestimate them.
Little hinges swing big doors.
Precisely. Second, use obvious cues in environment design. Make study and healthy habits hard to forget. Keep your notebooks and devices out in the open for studying, and stash junk food out of sight. You could even, like we said, place your textbook on your pillow at night to prompt morning reading. Make it visible.
Okay.
Third, stack new habits onto routines you already have. It's efficient, like after I pour my coffee in the morning, I will review my notes for 5 minutes. This leverages existing triggers.
Got it. What's fourth?
Fourth, pair tasks with rewards through temptation bundling. Link something enjoyable to something you need to do. Only allow yourself to watch a favorite show after completing a study session, or listen to that fun podcast only while exercising. Make the hard habit the gateway to the fun one. And finally, fifth, adopt a habit-minded identity. Think of yourself as the kind of person who studies regularly or who stays organized. Every time you act in line with that identity, every small habit, you reinforce it. It makes the habits feel more natural and effortless over time because it becomes part of who you are. Applying these insights, these 5 takeaways, can truly help you build more effective study patterns, manage your time better, and honestly, improve your overall well-being, step by tiny, powerful step.
Fantastic summary. And here's a final thought for you, the listener, to mull over. Considering all the principles of Atomic Habits we've discussed today, the power of tiny changes, environment design, identity, and reflecting on your own unique environment and challenges, what single tiny habit can you identify and start implementing today that specifically reinforces the person you want to become? Not just academically, but in every aspect of your life. What's that one small step? We truly encourage you to keep exploring and applying these ideas. Embrace that joy of discovery and self-improvement, one atomic habit at a time.